Terry McCulley. Here. Damon Jackson.
Here.
And David Remy is not. Drew Kraft is not with us yet. Wendell, do you have Drew's cell phone?
I have it.
Okay, if you could step out and just give him a call. I texted him earlier. Okay, Brooke Tharp.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum. Chair, before we go any further, I'd like to introduce, this is the first time that Ms. Tharp has been with us. She's our new board member. I think everybody got the email that introducing her. And I think she's on her way to Sheridan for a wedding. And so she was in the neighborhood and joined us in person. So Brooke, we want to welcome you to the board and appreciate your willingness to serve.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kevin. If there's not any other sundries, let's call the meeting to order. Do we want to read the minutes or do we need a motion to dispense?
Motion to suspend the reading of the minutes. Gordon.
That's Gordon.
cutting it.
And do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Is that Damon?
Yes.
Okay. We do have a little unusual circumstance today that's going to cause a little change up here. We actually need to go into executive session to deal with a personnel issue. And to do that, we will vote to go into executive session, and then we'll have to clear the boardroom of non-board members. So do I have a motion for us to move into executive session?
So move. Gordon.
Gordon, do I have a second?
Second, David.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So Kevin, if you don't mind, would you please clear the boardroom and then put anybody that's currently on Zoom that's not a board member on back in the waiting room, please?
Will do. Hang on just a second.
It's been a hot day. It's just normally
I do not know this number. Is anybody familiar with the 409-795-1426?
I can Google it real quick if you'll give it back to me.
Area code 409-795-1426.
Nothing hit on that.
Okay.
Columbia County Republicans elect new officer, Magnolia Reporter.
Oh,
Beckham.
it's from the Magnolia area, maybe?
Yeah,
It says 409, Mr. Director and Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
are from Texas. Charles occupies the Beaumont and Galveston areas.
Okay. You can go ahead and start the recording again, Rachel. And I'm going to go ahead and let Charles in.
okay, you're ready, Kevin?
I'm ready, Mr. Chair.
Okay, so continuing with the agenda, sorry for the formalities, but we had, it's just kind of the formal process. We have to take care of things. So welcome back to the boardroom and welcome back to the board meeting. Continuing on with our agenda, is there a representative from Budget LP present today?
Yes, I think we have Charles Beckham joining us. He's connecting the audio now. I don't know if he can hear us, but it says that he's still connecting. He should be with us shortly. Well, the 409 number has left the building, so I don't know who that was.
Mhm.
We may not have wanted to hear what they had to say today.
Okay, Mr. Beckham, can you hear us?
He's muted. Muted.
Lower left-hand corner.
There we go. How about that?
There you go. We can hear you now. We can hear you now, Charles. Mr. Chair, Mr. Beckham is with us and can hear, and I believe we can hear him.
Can you tell us today, Kevin, why Mr. Beckham is before us, please?
Yes, Mr. Beckham has applied for his Class 1 permit down south in the McNeil area. And so he's before you seeking his Class 1 permit.
Board, is there any questions that you would have for Mr. Charles today? Kevin, I assume all the safety issues have been, inspections have been done, insurance in place?
Yes, all the criteria has been met. The 40-hour school has been attended. Insurance is in place. Inspections have been done. Safety supervisor has been obtained. And they have met all the requirements that they need.
How many counties? What counties are there?
Well, started off with one, but if you'll we'll address this later on the agenda. They've already asked to expand. Lafayette, Union, and Charles. What county is McNeil in?
Columbia. We initially asked for Columbia and Nevada on the initial application. Should have been Columbia and Nevada, and we added Union and Lafayette.
Okay,
We've asked to have those added.
so it'll be 4 counties down south.
Sounds like everything's a go. Looks good to me.
I move that we approve the application.
Second.
That was from David and a second from Gordon.
Yes, sir.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Is there anybody in the audience would like to speak from the issue? Okay, so if there's no other discussion, then Mr. Charles, thank you for joining us today and welcome to the industry and good luck in your endeavors in pursuing propane in South Arkansas.
Thank you much.
Appreciate
Thank you. Thank you, Kevin.
Yeah, we'll be talking with you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Okay, continuing on, is there any class twos, Kevin, that we need to go over? Class twos through tens that are pending that we need discussion about?
Yes, if you look on your agenda, the list is there. We have LPG Ventures in Class 2 out of Kearney, Missouri. And they typically are just a renewal, but they let theirs lapse. They didn't mean to, but they let it lapse. And so they're back on the list. When they were made aware of it, they reapplied. Mobley's Enterprises, a Class 3 out of Cave City. Hometown Farm and Seed, a Class 3 out of Huntsville. Johnson County Farmers out of Clarksville, a Class 3. A Miller Hardware out of Harrison, a Class 3. West Chase Power Corp, they have obtained their Class 5 permit over on the western side of the state. And then the Log Guy, he's the guy that lives up in Evening Shade, and he's specializing in installing logs and doing some minor plumbing. Received his Class 10. Those are the permit applications that have been approved since our last board meeting.
You say the LP Gas Ventures just forgot to renew?
Yeah, it was just an oversight. They have been a Class 2 permit holder for a number of years. And I don't know if they had, somebody new, somebody left. Somebody retired. And so when we contacted them and made them aware of it, then they immediately got their Class 2 back, their permit back. And as you know, they have been a partner in some of the recent rule changes that we've put in place.
That was with the chicken houses, right, Kevin?
Well, yeah, the ASME data plate.
Right.
Yes. What'd you say, Terry?
Ag use only.
Ag use only. Yeah, the ag use only fit for service.
Right.
ASME tanks. Correct.
Would you like us to make a motion to approve all those?
Don't need a motion.
I didn't-
That's just for your information.
Okay, I didn't think so. I just want to make sure.
Sure.
So along those lines, are there any other discussion about any other permits, or are we okay to go into any kind of new discussion, any kind of new matters at this time?
The outside of the budget LP territory expansion, I need to let you all know of one other. O'Neill Gas down south out of Smackover. They obtained Cleveland County since our last board meeting. And that's the only thing that I have thus far on this part of the agenda.
Okay. Well, Kevin, if there's no other things pressing, I'm just going to turn it over to you for other general comments or direction to head the board in today. Okay.
If y'all would, we sent this out. I want to go over the financial with you. And would like to remind everybody that this is through the end of last month. Our appropriation for the fiscal year was $513,665. And then you can see the monthly expenses. They total through May of $399,169. Our revenue has been up this year through the same period, $656,804. And you compare that to last year, you can see our expenses have been up this year and our revenue has also been up compared to the same period of time last year. But there hasn't been anything, there really hasn't been anything major that I know of that we purchased. I don't know, because of the camera is not the greatest for the Zoom. If you can see, one thing we did do, we had those green plastic chairs that we were using for our 40-hour school, and they were pretty awful. In fact, I couldn't keep these board chairs from being hauled over there and used during the 40-hour school because they were so uncomfortable. We did go ahead and purchase 23 nice training chairs for our training room. We've been through one 40-hour school, and they work very well. I would say they're fairly comfortable, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let you know about that. Are there any other questions concerning the financial report? If not, Mr. Chair, I would like you to entertain a motion to accept the financial report.
Okay. Do I hear a motion from the board?
So moved.
Gordon first.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, it passes.
Okay, thank
Is there any other agenda that we need to cover today?
Yeah, there's a couple of things that I'd like you to just start the discussion on. The first thing is that this October we'll have our budget meeting, and as far as the budget for the LP Gas Board goes, outside of just standard appropriation, I would like to ask for money to replace our HVAC system. Those are 21 years old. We're not spending a whole lot of money on them right now, but it's just the age and something that I've been thinking about. We replaced our HVAC system in my house with it was an 18 or a 20 SEER unit, and we went with a heat pump with gas backup. And I've just been blown away by the cost savings of this unit. I don't know if it's just because we went from maybe a 10 or a 12 SEER up to this, but the old heat pumps, it was cool air. It's just not good. These new ones, the temperature coming out of the vent is actually warmer than your body. And we have been saving in excess of $50 a month on our electric bill. Now, I don't know what, I've never seen a heat pump used in an office complex situation. We've got a split system now, gas heat and then AC. But Paul, with your goings on, have you ever put a heat pump in a truck stop or in an office or?
No, the last 3 stores we built, we put geothermal in.
Oh. Okay.
Is it a split unit, Kevin, or is it a I can't think of it. Is it a split unit?
Package unit outside?
Package, right.
It is a split unit. We've got gas, we've got natural gas heat, furnaces, and then we've got AC units. And so,
I would assume if it's a split unit, I would assume that you could get what you're talking about. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a professional when it comes to that, but I would assume, yes, you could. And if you're saving that much money in your house, then I would say we need to get that.
That's what I'm thinking. And those units are like I said, they're 21 years old.
Well, here's the deal. When you have a HVAC unit go out, you lose a compressor. You don't get the chance to shop. You get the chance of calling the guy that can come tomorrow.
Right.
So I don't know who we're using. Don't even really want to get into that, but I would get maybe 3 quotes and, make sure that the service is, warranted too, that good, reviews Check the supplier out for those units. But yeah, if you've got 20-year-old units in a commercial building, you're on borrowed time.
And we have started replacing blower motors, that kind of thing. We're already into that.
Yeah, I mean, you can do that 5 or 6 years into it, but you're looking at compressors now, and you're talking about a totally different thing that they can't rip and replace and be in and out of there in a day. They've got to order that unit. And with COVID, prior to COVID, we could get a hold of those units fairly quick. But now you need some time to get those things ordered and get them on the ground. So I would pursue that for sure.
And I have, just to get in the ballpark, I've received one quote, and the state procurement will dictate quotes, obviously 3 minimum, but we're looking at 65 to 70 grand to replace everything that we've got. That's if the copper lines are still good. And they appear to be. We haven't had Freon added, so. But if you all don't have any issues, or if you're okay, then that's something that I'll pursue through the budgeting process.
You can't stay in that building if you don't have AC. Now, you may be able to put enough coats on, but you're not going to be able to get it cool enough.
No, there's being 100 outside. That's for sure.
Okay, another thing that I'd like to do, and I don't know that we need to do this through capital outlay, that budgeting item would be capital. But I would like to pursue, I would like to pursue going ahead and having some good training regulator boards built. I think everybody in the industry has seen the mobile training boards, regulator boards that we have used from time to time. But I would like to get something that is permanently installed in the training portion of the boardroom here, that can be used for line sizing, that can be used for regulator training, can also be used for regulator testing, become part of our 40-hour school. And those are going to be in the neighborhood of 5,000 to 7,000. I don't know that this needs to be a capital outlay. It could be just an operating expense. Our fiscal people over at E&E will guide us on that, but I wanted to make sure that you guys would be okay with doing that. I had Rigo, I touched base with them, and they put me in touch with people that build their regulator boards, and I've had some discussions with them about what I'm looking for. They're out of Chicago. And I think it's going to be in that neighborhood to get some really nice boards with some good equipment, sensors on them.
That was my next thought, is to get with Rigo, because I know that they do that, and there's no need in trying to reinvent the wheel when
Exactly.
maybe they already have something kind of in place and covered all the bases. But that's the single most important piece, I think, in our whole system when you consider propane and the application at a house. That's where it all starts, right there at the regulator. So
That sounds good to me, Kevin. Anything that can improve safety training, I support. So yeah, that sounds great.
Okay. About 2 or 3 budget cycles ago, we had a capital outlay appropriation that would allow us to put an LP gas dispensing system in here. And because of that time, we were coming under the umbrella of E&E, and that coupled with the state moving away from a Ford product to a Dodge product kind of put that thing on hiatus. We never did pursue it. The state now is in the middle of an EV rollout where they're putting electrical charging stations at all state facilities and others, and trying to advance that effort. And just for the sake of discussion, what would be the feeling here if an electrical charging station was placed at the LP Gas Board building?
we're going to put a propane generator on it.
I'm fine,
I'm
Kevin.
sorry.
I mean, you're right. Just about everywhere you go now, any type of well, in the city at least, that I see. Anywhere you go, there's charging stations available. So I don't see a problem with it. No.
I know that it's going to cause some heartache to some of the industry and gentlemen, and ladies and gentlemen, Brooke, you'll have to calm me down when I do that. My feeling is that this facility is bought and paid for by the industry. And so I don't think that we need to be flying in the face of the industry with anything we do. Maybe now is the time to not just put in electrical, but go back with the LP gas dispensing unit at the same time. And now we're offering an alternate fuel solution. It's not just one or the other.
I personally would like to see the LP gas installed before the electrical.
You gonna run a lot.
I understand.
Run your heat off of it too? Get on natural gas?
Well, and I thought about that. We're replacing the HVAC. Natural gas. We heard horror stories after the, Snowmageddon with that. And ours went through the roof. We went from 220 some dollars a month in the winter to between $500 and $600. Yeah, absolutely. I haven't looked recently because, we're burning up. We're not going to be a lot of natural gas, but that's something that we can discuss and we can put a bulk storage out here, run the dispensing unit, heat the facility at the same time as well. And I don't want to take up a lot of time. I just wanted to get you all's thoughts on this, and then we can come back at a later board meeting and put some better numbers together.
Kevin, some states are putting in the electrical charging stations in for free. I don't know if can you get an offer like that from, I don't know, the energy company in Arkansas?
Well, the state is partnering. Andrea, do you feel comfortable saying anything about this, the electrical? Are you up to speed of what, or is that just Mitchell?
You're talking about funding for.
Yes, funding
Yeah,
for.
We're actually releasing some information, I think, this week about funding that we're giving for some fast chargers, but I don't have anything beyond that.
Okay. So the E&E is the one that these grant programs are going to be released. And I would not propose that we would use any funding from the LP Gas Board's money to facilitate an electrical charging station. This would need to be, some kind of grant or something like that. And my feeling is that we should do it in conjunction with an LP gas dispensing unit, or like Paul said, maybe the LP gas dispensing before. But I know that it's something that's coming. It's a way that we're kind of in here in North Little Rock. It's not too bad access in and off the interstate. It wouldn't be a bad idea to offer some alternate fuels here. And then we'd have to see what kind of outlay it would cost to even make that happen. We certainly don't want a dispensing unit out front that everybody has access to 24/7. We got all kinds of other things to think about. Is it just a card swipe? Who's responsible for billing? Who is going to pay us for the electrical, the electricity? So this was just a starting conversation to get your reaction. But if you'd like, we can, Mr. Chair, we can table this, and then we can come back and I can put some numbers together, find out a little more about it, what it would mean to us to put in a charging station. I know that our gate where it sets, it might need to be brought back parallel with the building, and then the charging system put behind that. Or, we would need to secure the building at the same time that somebody would be out there charging. So we can take a look at all that, and I can let you know. Road.
Well, I say like you say, Kevin, I say we table that and then move forward in the bidding process on, procurement on the dispensing and for the dispensing station.
And keep in mind with that sizing, I mean, if you do decide to you've got some good history with the natural gas on the heat side, just to kind of convert that maybe to gallons of propane and just see if it's even feasible for us to even look at, doing propane versus natural gas. And I mean, we are under Department of Energy head where we're flying now. So we kind of have to consider that also.
Absolutely. And to that end, the budget questions that I'm asking you will ultimately have to be approved by Secretary Keogh. But I before I even included anything, I needed to make sure that you guys were on board. So,
well, ladies and gentlemen, if we don't have any other further discussion or any other new points that we need to discuss, do we have anything?
I think we covered it.
I got two more things, Paul.
Okay, come on, Kevin.
Okay. The tank pickup that the rule that we talked about starting the promulgation of, did everybody receive their draft
Yes.
of that? Okay. So have you had time to read through this? LP gas containers out of service. When the board receives a complaint concerning an out of service container, the board or its director will notify the permit holder that it must retrieve the container and corresponding equipment within 30 days from initial receipt of notification. Notification will be made by phone in both regular and certified U.S. mail. Permit holders who fail to retrieve the container and equipment within 30 days of receipt will be fined $50 per day, each day beyond the 30-day period until the container and equipment are retrieved. You may be subject to injunctive action to have the container and equipment removed. This is what Nia Mahfouz, our a liaison to the AG's office, came up with. We wanted to put that out there and for you all to look at and to make sure that you all were comfortable that this is what your intent was the last time we met and voted on this.
How frequently does this occur? Do we receive complaints concerning out of service containers?
I would say we are in a unique situation. We've had some stuff go on in the industry, and there's a disparity between the multi-state marketers and the local independent. There has been some change in business philosophy with a couple of the multi-state marketers, and that has caused a huge problem. Not only with the consumers looking for other suppliers, but they don't have the manpower. They are not picking up these in a timely fashion. We never want to make a rule for one company, so, but the issue is it's getting bad. And this is just to address that.
And to echo your statements there, Kevin, this really has been an ongoing problem for years, and we're just now. I mean, I'm glad we're actually putting some teeth to it. So, yeah, can we make a motion to approve and move forward on this?
Well, and hang on, and I don't know, Gordon, if it's difficult to see, but I think Brooke, did you have some additional questions or?
I'm sorry, I couldn't see. Sorry.
And the 30 days is pretty tight turnaround. I know there's high peak times in the year. So let's say it's the peak of winter and you get this notification. Do we think 30 days is enough time to allow for that pickup? I mean,
That was the discussion of the board. And I think under normal circumstances that shouldn't be an issue. Now, this is like anything. We have the flexibility and we have been, we want the industry to know what the board is doing. So we've got our safety meetings going on around the state. We've got one tonight in Brinkley. And so when we tell them about this, that the board is promulgate, fix it. One of the things that I've said is if a consumer calls in and says, hey, it has been 6 months and they haven't picked up their tank, and we contact the permit holder and we're told, yeah, we haven't because they've got a backyard full of pit bulls.
right.
Okay, well, we're not going to do this. We're going to get back a hold of the consumer and say, hey, why don't you get your pit bulls tied up and we'll work together. It is never our intent to hammer people. It's our intent to encourage safety. And so, we have the luxury, just because we have a rule here does not mean, if we get a hold of somebody and they say they've got, it's wet, my serviceman has COVID, we'll work with them. We just, if the reason that they're not getting the tanks picked up because we have let all of our people go, okay, you are not doing right by your employees. You're not doing right by the consumer. This is the state of Arkansas. It's going to cost you $50 for every tank that you've got out there that you're allowing this to happen with. And so that's kind of the crux of what's going on there. Typically, with the cost of steel, any good operator is going to get out there as soon as they can and get that tank picked up so they can get it back in the field and have it generating revenue.
Do we have this in a motion that, in a form of a motion, or can we construct it so that we can move on with this today, Kevin, or do we need another?
No, I think if you all are comfortable with this, you can make a motion to proceed with the promulgation of rule as written.
When would it go into effect, Kevin?
Well, it has to go through the rule-making process. So we're probably looking.
Another 90 days.
No, we're probably closer to, they're fixing to start the fiscal session in the first part of next year. I'm guessing it's going to be half a year. If we get into the fiscal session, then it's going to be pushed off. If we can't get this done, we have to put it out for hearing. It has to be sent to the governor, make sure that they're okay with it. There's a litany of things. Charles, can you speak to the rulemaking process? I'm sorry, y'all. Did I let y'all know that Charles Moulton was sitting in helping us today? I don't think I did. I'm sorry.
That's fine. That's fine.
Nia was not able to be with us. So Charlie sent in.
So board and Mr. Chairman, the typical process, at least for my commission, the way we go through it is you have to get approval from the governor first. That's through his, I believe, second executive order that he issued in his first term. And then you have to go through the process applicable under the Administrative Procedures Act. So you have to send it out for public comments, solicit public comments. I don't know if your process is different. Right now, we go through the governor's office, and then we also get approval from the legislature before we do a finalization. But you're going to have to get approval from the governor. You're going to have to get approval from whatever applicable legislative subcommittee. If you don't get those approvals from either of those entities, then your rule is a no-go. But if you do get that, then you go ahead and you send it out. You public notice it. You send it out for public comment. You wait the requisite amount of time to obtain the public comments. And then once that's done, you respond to whatever public comments you get. Then you can go for finalization.
Yeah, I think, and we are, and then there's another step in there. We need Secretary Keel to look at it and make sure that she's okay with it. But I think the last time that we did this, gentlemen, it was 9 months or better from the time that you all said this is the draft until we got it filed with the state library or the final approval.
It wouldn't be considered an emergency rulemaking by any stretch. I wouldn't think.
No,
you can expedite it if it falls within the four corners of that.
I think it would be difficult to show.
I mean, typically for our rules, for the PCE commission rules, we've fast tracked some. I mean, we had one recently, I believe it was Rule 27, which we actually did in about 4 months, which was pretty extraordinary, but it was completely non-controversial. So if the stars align, it'll be done pretty quickly, but it's rare that the stars align.
Okay.
So,
Say, Kevin,
Yes.
yeah, your rules would follow pretty much what the Oil and Gas Commission follows. We're both under the Administrative Procedures Act, the State Administrative Procedures Act.
Yes, we are.
So if you were just to draft a draft rule and then meet with Secretary Q and legal here, once you get Secretary's approval on that, legal would take and run it through the entire process up until the point where, and the governor's office, you would just consult with them if it need be, but they would run it throughout that entire process for you. So you wouldn't have to be involved in any of that other than proving along the way. And then at the end, there'd be a final approval by your board after it was approved by all those other entities, but legal would do most of that.
Well, Larry, you have made me very happy. I have done this 2 or 3 times before, and it was mind numbing so yeah, I'll be glad.
You won't have to do any of that. You just need to give us a draft, and Andrea would run with that through all the various approvals and then get your okay on suggested changes. But all the nuts and bolts of the rulemaking process, any legal would do that.
Excellent. Very good.
Actually, I think the E&E has a, would it be the same, would it be Peter Alberg that would?
Probably would. Whoever's working on oil and gas rules probably would do the same here.
Peter's
I can say that a little bit.
extraordinary.
Pickleton
is great.
Daniel. Okay. Thank you, Charlie. Thank you, Larry. That helps a lot. And so, gentlemen, I would think that if you wanted to make a motion to accept this draft as the draft to move forward in the process, then we can start making that happen.
I move that we accept the new rule out of gas containers, then start the process.
Gordon,
Second.
David, second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, well, let's get this process going.
That's what I say.
Okay. And again, Brooke, I just said gentlemen, and you were sitting right there. You got to say, huh? I
It works.
apologize.
No worries.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the last thing that I have got is, did we mention a possibility of a grant to help to help increase the amount of storage that's in the state of Arkansas? If we think back about what happened in February 2020, one of the things that could have helped tremendously is if we had additional storage. Everybody knows what's going on with steel. This board just approved a project or a large Ronnie Graves to bring in some large storage tanks in that special meeting. In between the time that you gave the approval for that and the time that he called to say bring them, we had that a tremendous increase in cost of diesel. His cost of delivery went from like $40,000 to over $80,000 just to deliver the tank. Costs are astronomical anywhere or everywhere. I visited with E&E Legal about how would we go about setting up a process if we wanted to encourage additional storage in the state, even maybe going back and backtracking a couple of years to when this HAP started, and we could offer a $10,000 or $15,000 incentive, might pay for the pier, something like that. It would not go into effect if somebody just simply moved storage. It would be adding storage, new storage to the state. And set up, take a portion of what we have in the bank, whatever you all would think, if you want to consider something like this. And then we would set up the process, have an application process set up, and then an award process that would end up before it actually happened. It'd be unbiased. It'd be somebody else. Maybe it would start with this board and then move maybe up to possibly the secretary or somebody like that. That would make the final approval. But what is y'all's first reaction to a grant that is used in our industry to help increase the gallon storage?
Well, the last thing we want to do in this industry is to show the public that we're not capable of carrying a load when it gets difficult out there. Like natural gas had some black eyes and issues with some supply issues. We don't want to have that happen to us. And the only way that we can keep that from happening is to have the proper storage in place when the demand is the highest. And we've got to take care of this, and we've got to get more storage in the state. It's been leaving astronomically, when you talk talk about Kingsland and Rixey and these other places that are being dismantled, we're just losing our backup.
Exactly. And maybe that grant money could even be utilized to entice some midstream services. You know, we've kind of had some discussions along those lines, but we've not gotten serious about a dollar amount or, you know, what that help would actually look like. But this would need to, any kind of grant program that we would choose to participate in would need to be done and you know, and put together in the form of a bill and go through the process, you know, that's going to be happening starting in January or February.
I think
Yeah, Kevin,
we need it in the state bad. There's,
yeah, Kevin, oh, go ahead.
I
Larry?
don't know with the limited amount of funds that we have, it's going to make a big difference, but it sure would show that we understand as a board and understand as an industry what needs to be happening in the state if we have this in place.
And without the talking about how much money you'd want to put into a grant program, you could certainly set up in your budget bill. In the Oil and Gas Commission, we have budget items, but you could put a line item in your budget bill and simply call it an infrastructure grant program. You know, have a bill then that defines what it's going to do, and list all types of infrastructure. Put a small amount of money as a placeholder in it to start with, or whatever you want to start off with. And then you would adopt some grant rules on how you would take applications, how somebody would qualify, you know, whether it's going to be cost share maybe, or it's 100%, things like that. But the first place to start is decide to do it and then create an infrastructure grant line in your budget bill, which is going to be created this summer. And then at the same time be writing a statute that would create the infrastructure grant program.
Okay. And here's another value to being under the umbrella of E&E. They've done a lot of this stuff. And Larry has been a part of these and knows how this works. As far as the amount of money that might be considered, the 6 years that I have been here, we have ended up somewhere between $50,000 and $100,000 in additional revenue over our appropriation. So we have brought in 50 to 100,000 more than our appropriation each year. That's what's happened over the 20 years prior. And that's why we have, you know, 2.4 mil in the bank. So if we looked at, you know, 500K, 750, whatever you all thought, to me, this is money that needs to be returned to the industry in some way. And
Absolutely.
And to help the infrastructure is seems to me like a good way to spend it.
So is this a line item we would need to vote on today so that you could progress this summer?
I would say maybe just to put in the form of a motion to pursue a grant program. And that would get it kicked off and would allow me to have further discussions with Larry and Andrea about where we go from here and get that moving.
Very well.
Well, with the board's direction, what kind of a motion would we just pursue this with both feet in any form or fashion of expanding our infrastructure in the state to help those in the private sector, you know, develop that infrastructure?
I think the rules can be put in place down the road. Larry, what would be a proper motion just to start?
A motion to use authority to move forward would simply be a motion to investigate potential of the Liquified Petroleum Gas Board to create a propane infrastructure grant program in their budget, and then appropriate rules to implement it. That'd be enough then for all of us to start working on it.
Okay.
Do I hear a motion to proceed with pursuing a grant for propane infrastructure in the state?
So move.
Gordon first.
Second. Brooke,
Brooke?
Brooke, I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, very good. I appreciate that. And that is all that I have.
Are you sure, Kevin?
Well, let me, I think we're good.
Okay.
I
Do
do
I-
appreciate everybody today.
Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Gordon, you're on it today, buddy.
On it.
Second,
Brooke,
Brooke?
Brooke, I can hear the Brooke, but I can't hear the second. All in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Thank you for your time today and hope to see y'all soon.
Appreciate you, Paul.
Yeah.
Y'all have a good day.
All right.
Go Hogs Saturday.
Go Hogs, yeah. Y'all take care.
Brooke, I have got to, you got to calm me down and say, hey,
Are we still recording? Stop that.
no, I think it's all.
Okay, yeah, no, listen, I've worked in oil and gas for 15 years. That doesn't bother me one bit.
Well, it was sure sure nice to meet you and welcome aboard and
It was